For our HR leaders, it's critical to understand the difference in the different regions we deal with. You know, to travel to Latin America is much different than traveling in the Middle East and Asia. So they've got to have the whole global knowledge of all of our customer bases. And they need to understand the visa requirements in these places, how long we can work there without being considered an employee. So it's just their special regional knowledge, I think, is the biggest thing we expect from them.
It's important for our HR department to understand the challenges in these specific geographic locations because it affects the employee, it affects their family, it affects their performance on the job. So we want to understand these challenges before we commit these people or hire these people to go to some of these, in some cases, austere locations.
Nobody knows everything, and every time you bring on a new country or a new region, there's an awful lot you have to learn. I think it's really important for our HR professionals to develop a network. It's very difficult if you have to learn kind of the hard way how to enter a country in South America or in Africa. And it's much easier if you can fall back on a global network of professionals that have already learned a lot of those kind of rules and how to do things. So I think having a network is probably one of the most important things to develop.
Our Vice President of HR is on the executive team. He's in all the planning and development meetings, and not only that, but he travels to the different regions and sits in on their regional meetings. He'll go to Asia or to Latin America or to the Middle East or even Africa to sit in and hear their business strategies and what they're doing over there. And we have a mix of local and international people to service these accounts. And so he's well aware and gets to meet and interact with all the people. And that's the key, is keeping him involved face to face with these people.
Our HR leadership and business strategy leadership stay connected through a series of meetings that we conduct on a recurring basis. We share new business opportunities, we share hiring practices, we share process improvement. I mean, everything about the company is communicated and shared and discussed in various meetings that we conduct on a recurring basis. 100% of the intent of those meetings is to communicate what's happening in various departments of the company so that we're operating as a single team, not as individuals all out there doing our own thing.
We have, I think, very direct communications with our employees, and that's regardless if they're in engineering, if they're in sales, if they're in HR, if they're in manufacturing. We have global town hall meetings that happen in big forums and in small forums, and we kind of relay the message of how the company is doing and what are the company's goals, both near term and long term. And HR is an integral part of that and helps actually develop a lot of that presentation material, which I think keeps everybody refreshed on where we're going and where we're headed. We bring HR to the table anytime we're going to new places. That's typically part of the decision process as to whether or not you should go to a new place. There are things that look very easy on the outside and very attractive on the outside, but once you really start understanding the rules and regulations associated with a particular area, or the ability to attract good talent in a particular area, that may change your mind. So they're brought in very early into the process.
Some of the best practices that we've used within the HR department involve things like networking, because no one knows everything. And again, these issues or these challenges vary from country to country. And if we haven't had experience as a company with those specific issues, it's always helpful to go seek advice and counsel from either other organizations or other companies or people who have had that experience before, so that we can rely on their expertise and not have to learn the hard way on our own.
Some of the best practices here at Adtran, I think, revolve around understanding that in any particular country that may come up in the future, you may not know all the answers. I think it's really important for our HR professionals to be able to develop a network that allows us to quickly understand what the regulations are in a particular area, what are the cultural differences that we may need to be able to bridge the gap on, and be able to, in effect, become an expert in a short period of time. And you can't do that without a network. So I think one of the things that we strive for is to make sure that we have a broad global network of professionals that don't necessarily work for the company, that we can rely on to help us kind of bridge those gaps.
The emergency services would be the best practice that a region has. Now, every member that travels internationally has a card with an international number to call in case of emergency, whether it's a medical emergency, political turmoil, just anything you need help with. You can call this 800 or this international number and get help.